Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another session from the Colombo Quality Camp. As you all know, we are a bunch of enthusiasts looking to improve the quality of software products and processes while aiming to kill the gap between QA engineers and software engineers. And today we are going to give you a little introduction and awareness session on AI-based test automation. I'm Dulan Vithanage, and I'm working as a senior QA lead at 99X, and this is my colleague Dulari.
Hi,
Dulari.
I'm Dulari Kelad. Yeah, so thank you, Dulan. I'm Dulari Kelad. I'm working as a QA engineer for 99X. Yeah, over to you, Dulan.
Okay, so in this session, we will be covering areas like what is AI and ML, and what are some of the tools that we are using, and some of the tools that are in the market, and what are the challenges we currently face in agile development, and when it comes to automation, and how AI can help those to overcome those issues. And meanwhile, if you have any questions regarding the session, you can use the chat to raise them, and we will be taking up them in the Q&A session. And also, guys, we will be recording this session, and it will be available in our CQC YouTube channel after the session. So without further ado, let me share my screen and start off with the proceedings. All right, then. So, as I said earlier, so these are the areas that we will be covering today. What is AI and ML? Current challenges in automation. How can AI solve these challenges? AI-based automation frameworks and platforms. Testim.io. It's the tool that we are going to use today for the demo. And we have a couple of demos that we have planned today. So let's move on to the next slide. So what is artificial intelligence and machine learning? So I will not take a lot of time explaining what artificial intelligence means here, since it's most of us have an understanding of what AI and machine learning concepts are. So artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning are used synonymously, but there are some differences. So AI is an area of computer science that emphasize the creation of intelligent machines that work and react like humans. So AI is not a new concept. So the first research was done in back in 1989, and there was even a video published on how Stanford University did an experiment with using AI for cars, as we call these days autonomous cars. So the term AI has again become prominent in the past few years, and as you all know, now we have like self-driving cars like Tesla in the market. So it's more of a reality nowadays. So if I move to the next point, that's ML, machine learning. It's a subset of AI and evolved from the study of pattern recognition and computational learning theory, studying design and analysis of machine learning algorithms in AI. It is a field of study that gives computers ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So at its core, ML is a pattern recognition technology. So naturally, it's excellent at finding patterns in data. It can then use those patterns identified by your machine learning algorithms to predict the future trends. So with this, I will move on to the next slide, which gives us what are the current challenges and that we face when we transitioning into agile with automation. So as we know, on a global scale, businesses are launching apps that are used by thousands, if not millions of people. The majority of those businesses are developing apps using the Agile Rapid Delivery framework, which equates roughly a new launch every 2 weeks. Before each launch, those apps must be tested to ensure an optimal experience for end user. At that pace, manual testing will not be sufficient, and the Omni option will be maintaining a test automation suite, which brings another set of challenges to the table. So let's take a look at the challenges with the transitioning into automation in Agile and how it affects the release cycles. So there are a few categories I have mentioned here. So the first one is the skill set. So the challenge would be testers are doing manual testing, and the skilled testers with developer mindset and experience are hard to find and expensive. So we all have been there, and people with automation experience and the skill set are little hard to find in the market. So I think most of us have faced this situation in our companies. And the second one is the authoring. So let's say now you have a skilled testers, but they just started authoring a number of tests without following the best practices. So they need to think about how to handle element weights, making reusable components, parameterizing the tests, and etc. So, and also with that, authoring tests consumes a lot of time from a tester. So on average, it takes about 6 to 8 hours. It so let's say it's a huge amount when it comes to dealing with other meetings and all those things. So authoring test takes 6 to 8 hours. It's going to be a huge impact to the day-to-day works. So the next one is the initialization state. So imagine a tester who wrote a one test and it was passing successfully in the first run. So then he ran it again, only to find out that the state of the application is different and it needs to be retested. I think all of the people who have done automation knows this burden, I would say. So we wrote it, we are writing a test, and eventually with some issues we stumble upon, and the application is different with some changes, and we have to rewrite the test. And when it comes to maintenance, let's say we created a set of test cases and we executed them in a nightly build, and next day we come to work and all the test fails because of a single change in the app, maybe a common component. So we are disappointed, and it's a havoc. So recent survey states that this can be up to 20% of a tester's work, and it's a big obstacle adding more tests. So obviously we have to keep on fixing our old scripts rather than adding new test cases. So how to maintain all these test cases, because there are some flocky tests and there are some refactoring which needs to be done to increase the stability of the test scripts test suite. Okay, so the next one is the scalability. So let's say we have now about 400 test cases, which takes up to 5 hours to run. And especially if they fail and find bugs, it's really hard to release more than once a day. So we need to scale it up. So tests need to be written faster, and the failures has to be found fast if we want to release faster. So then the scalability comes into play. So whether the automation test framework is extensive, we need more server space for running, and we need to run tests in parallel, and need to run the tests more often. These are the main challenges that we are facing when it comes to uh, in, including or getting using automation in an agile framework. So let's see how AI could solve some of these issues. So first point I have mentioned here is using artificial intelligence and machine learning to auto-generate test cases and optimize test execution to find defects and get broader coverage of the user experience. So this can be, there's a tool called Eggplant AI, which allows one to create flowchart-like models to capture application states, actions, along with navigations between them. Once the models are created, the AI element of the Eggplant AI takes over to create random test cases and execute them using eggplant functional automation tool or any other automation tool such as Selenium. And they also have a performance and load testing framework which they provide. So testers can get the comprehensive testing done from a single framework. The next point is the dynamic locators. This is a strategy where the AI in real time passes multiple attributes of each and every element the user interacts with within the application and creates a list of location strategies. So people who have done automation using Selenium or Cypress, uh, we know that when it comes to capturing an element, we use either its ID, XPath, CSSO, one element or one location strategy at a time. So with these dynamic locators, you can identify single element using multiple locators. So we will do a demonstration on this particular point later towards the our session. So even if one attributes of an element changes, the test does not get failed. So instead, the AI detects this problem and goes to the next best location strategy to come successfully identify the element in the page. So with we can reduce the time for the script maintenance, and usually testers spend about 40% of the time in just maintaining these tests. So imagine what happen if we can reduce that to 5% maybe. So testers can then spend their valuable time actually testing the software instead of troubleshooting the tests. And the third one is the visual testing. Using machine learning based visual validation tools like Apply tools can find differences that human testers would most likely to miss. And one thing that classic automation tools like Selenium, Cypress cannot validate is the visual testing or the usability testing. Tools like retests and Apply tools are the solution for this today. So and the fourth point is that using machine learning to identify the minimal subset of tests that we can use to test the piece of changed code. So this will answer the classic testing question. If I made a change in the piece of code, in this piece of code, what's the minimal number of tests I should be able to run in order to figure out whether or not this change is good or bad? So I think even for testers or QA engineers, uh, the problem is like developer does a certain change and we don't know the area or the range, how much of testing we should be able to do to measure that the code is not being affected. So with the use of machine learning, we could get that thing done. And the next one is spidering AI. So this is an interesting area. So there are tools like Mabel can point to the web application and it will automatically begin crawling the application. As the tool is crawling, it also collects data by taking screenshots, downloading the HTML of each and every page, measuring the load times and so forth. And it continues to run the same steps again and again. So over time, it builds up a data set and training your machine learning models for what the expected patterns of your applications are. When it runs, it compares the current state to the all known parameters it has already learned, and if there is any deviation. So, as an example, if there's any JavaScript errors which earlier didn't had and now it does. So and a visual difference. So it's running slower than the average, it will flag it as a potential issue or an insight. So these are some of the ways and some tools that we could use as the as to overcome the challenges I mentioned earlier. And I will move on to some of the popular AI testing frameworks and platforms which are available in the market. So Eggplant AI is one thing, and I spoke about it in the earlier slide. So the second one is Advanced, and we have Apply Tools, Test.ai, Test Sigma, Testim.io, which we will be doing the demo today, and we have Retest as well. So to move ahead with the Testim.io, I would like to invite Dulari to take over the presentation from here. Over to you, Dulari.
Okay. So thank you, Dilan. So as mentioned, bear with me. Share my screen first. Yeah. Hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right. So yeah. So as Dulan mentioned, today we are doing a demonstration and we are doing the basic awareness session on testing the AI automation tool which we have, the testing.io. So before start, I would like to give a brief introduction to testing.io and then we'll go to the uh, next steps. So Testim helps you to record your test and then it runs the recorded step accordingly. Like it's the normal description that I can give to testim.io, but here we apply the AI automation as well. So simply there are two ways of creating test or a test case in testing. So the first one is, as I mentioned before, you can record the test, but to record the test, you have to have the virtual editor in testim.io or the extension that testim gives. So here what you can do is you have to get the Chrome extension from testim and then proceed with the recording steps. And then we have the second option. So here what we can do is, if you are a person who likes to code, like then recording and go with those recording and stuff, so this option is for you. So what you have to do is you have to get the latest node.js, npm and testing libraries that available in the web, and then you have to run your IDEs and set up the environment, and you have to run your IDEs, and you can code code the test that you want to wanted from the sketch. But here we have a third step that everyone can use. That is the best approach. I would like the test team even recommended that. So that's the best approach that we can go with. If we are going with testing, that's the best approach that we can have. So that one is we have first we can record the test and then we can modify using the editor, the virtual editor, and then we can do whatever we want. So it's a approach for the person who likes to code and at the same times who don't want to make any stress on those. So today we are following the third step where we are recording this test and then we are modifying it uh, and then customize the steps accordingly. So before going to that, I'll be quickly going through the features uh, that Testim.io offers with their whole package. So the first feature, they have given a virtual editor, as I mentioned before. So in this virtual editor, they have built a lot of features right into the editor. So what you have to do is, if you don't want to write any codes, like unnecessary codes, if if you don't want to, you don't want to write any codes. If you want to write codes, yes, if you can write code as well. So with this virtual editor we have basic features that test team has given. So first one is grouping and all the groups. So here what we have is you can group the test and reuse them. Like normally in industry we are working as teams, so rather than repeating the same steps to do a certain testing scenario, so we can group them into a bundle, and then we can run the whole scenario together. So then it's improve the architecture of the set test suite as well. So it's the first feature, and then we have the validations. It means we can ensure that the output of the test matches the expected output. Like you can configure those validation either from data if you want to import or upload a PDF, and if you want to verify those data as expected result, and then you can go with the PDF option. And if you want to go with emails, then we have the varieties of options here where you can validate your test case as well. And then the third one is we have conditions. So if you want to uh, suppose if you want to proceed to the next step only if a particular step uh, a particular step successfully. If that fails, you don't want to go to the next step. Suppose if we have a scenario like that. So in this case also, we can use these configurations or the conditions that which are in built by test team in your test cases as well. So with that also, the condition we can test, like we can verify whether the visibility of an element or like absence of an element also from these conditions. And next one is the smart locators. The I think Dulan will cover that section. So smart locators, which makes you to test more stable, like it makes your test suit more stable. Like even though one locator or a one locating configuration fails, you there are a couple of locator configuration that they have created while recording, so you can proceed a test with those locators. And then we have the loop. So loop, there what we are doing is we can run the same step multiple times, like to test some performance testings or some load testing. So if you want to do so, like you can loop the same step and you can perform those varieties of test as well. And the final one that they have given is data driven testing. So here in data driven testing, what they allow is like suppose if you want to go with parameters, or if you want to go with test data or JSON files or Excel, CSVs to run your test steps, then you can import or you can upload those files to the test configuration of the recorded test, and then you can go ahead with those also, right? Like rather than adding those in manual, you can go with data driven testing as well. So those are the things that they have given in visual editor. And then we have the next feature. Then we have the next feature. It's for the test, like to run your test. So when you're running your test, either you can use the test grid in which is available in test team. Like it's a test grid which allows you to test multiple virtual or sometimes physical devices and configure in parallel. Like rather than configure those in several times, you can configure all the devices at the same time. And which it can increase the speed of the execution as well. So with that, they give the cross browser testing, so you can use any OS, any browser, or any devices with this testim.io test grid. And also we have a CI integration. You can integrate your test with the continuous integration tool that you are using for your project, and then run the test automatically at desired process point, so that it improves your suits performance, and also the all architecture and everything. So if you want to do it in like if you want to automate your test as well. So And then the final part, we have the reports. So here in reports, when they when a particular person run their test, they will see the result in testing. Like, but we have a couple of scenarios, or couple of report types that we can uh, used in testim.io. So in those, the first important one is the root cause analysis. Here what we can do is we can aggregate error type, so that you can quickly identify problems that are affecting to multiple testers or a particular test. So there you don't want to dig down to the code, or the scenarios, and you don't want to find what went well, went wrong. So just by clicking or by viewing a step, you can step or an event, you can analyze the root cause of the failure. And also we have the test results. It gives a grid view and a normal graphical view to your reports, with the number of test cases which failed and which passed. So from that you can you the from these measurements, the we can have a well improved test suite with to your projects. And last one, we we can have the bug reporting. Like bug reporting is really easy with testim.io. The reason for saying that is testim.io itself has a capturing tool, so that you can like just take the screenshot or the record it, and then you can report that bug to a particular person, or a team. So the reporting and the bugs are really easy when you use testim.io. So other than that, testim.io use test op features. Like they have given the control, management, and insights. These three are the test op features. So all these three are available in testim.io. So you can have a very quality test suite to your project using this testim.io. And so this is the basic introduction. So before going to deep down, I'll go with the recording first. I'll be recording a sample test, and then we'll describe the events and what we have there. So I'll share my screen again. Yes, hope you can see the screen.
Yes, we can, Dulari.
Okay. Uh, so what we are doing here is this is a sample test I recorded. So before going to these things, I'll be go through this application first. So but I'll yeah. So this is the which virtual editor that testteam.io offers. If we go with the virtual editor, so to have this, what you have to do is you have to create an account using a official email address, and then you can good to go with this tool. So before that, what you have to have is you have, as I mentioned before, you have to have this Testim editor, which allows you to perform the recordings and capturing stuff for your browser. So it's available in Chrome, so you can have that as well. And before start, so this is the test library where you can have the things that you recorded or the test cases that you are recording, and we have the editor here as well. So before going to that, we'll create a new test and then go with that. So what I'm doing here is I'll be creating a new test. So for that I have to go with this new test, add new test, and then there will be a first initial tile. So this tile, we call it as a event. So this is the initial event that it creates. It's a configuration event where you can navigate to the settings and you can edit the settings accordingly. So here it's the configuration. If you want to change the browser type, the OS, the resolution and everything, you can have the, you can have all the configurations, editing purpose, like the editing options here. So you can go with those as well. So I'll not be editing those. And then what you have to do is you have to paste the base URL where your application, it's the application, like your URL of your application. So for the moment, I'll be using a dummy site, which call, yeah. So I'll be having it here. Okay, save. Okay. Okay. Then my configurations are ready to go. So what you have to do next is, so in this application, what I'm showing you today is I'll be logging to the system and then make an appointment. So I'll be filling some fields and the radio buttons and everything is there. So then I'll be validating those data whether I have whether it has the correct data or not. So this is the scenario that I'm going to test here. So for that, what you have to do is you have to go to this configuration tile and then start recording it. So when you start recording it, another browser will open in your machine. And what you have to do is you have to proceed with the step like normally what you are doing. So I'll be clicking on this and then login, and, and I'll be having the username and password. So the copy paste is allowed in this testim.io. So you don't want to type everything. The copy paste will also be taken as an event. So I'll be logging. Yep. So I'll be making an appointments. So having all the data filled here and then selecting a date. So I'll be make the book the appointment. So then this is what I want to do. So then I will go for the validation part later. So this is the steps or the events of my test scenario or the test case that I have recorded. So for each, like these, each tile will known as an event in testim.io. So we have a couple of the like 6 main events which we can go for. And basically every event can be customized according to your purpose and according to your application as well. So this we have the configuration event, and for the clicks we have the click events, and for the text we have text event, and we have wait for events, and we have validation events, and all those events. So we'll go for the events and then come back to this. Okay. uh, uh, these are the events that I described for you. Like we have test configuration, click, text, action, and validation and wait for. So each of one has a separate purpose when recording the event. Okay, so the test configuration, as I said, as I mentioned earlier, you can configure your environment, the setup, the browsers, that the device resolutions, OS that you want to have. So with that, we can have a couple of like multiple configurations, and we can share those configuration as well with other test cases that you are doing in future. So as I show, what you have to do is if you want to have a customized test configuration, you have to edit the configuration by navigating to edit, choose other, and then custom the event. And then next we have the click event. So click event here is it's refers to the every click in execution step. So as I mentioned, if you uh, scroll down scroll down the page, that will be taken as a separate event, but the the clicks that you make from your mouse or enter button will be taken under this event. So there what you have is you can have conditional parameters, like whether you want to proceed with this step with the visibility of the item that you clicked, or without the visibility of the item that you clicked. So you can go with those validations and custom this event as well. And next we have the text event, where you can go with keyboard input, copy paste, drag and drop, and every text, like the every text related performance will be recorded under this text event. Also we can have the data driven testing, which means you can have a JSON file or a Excel file or a CSV file to your test, and then run those will, like, by using parameters without hard coding the values. You can use uh, parameters there. So we will be coming to that later. And then again we have these actions. So this is a special events that will be created in test team. So here we the generating data generations, and also the hover events, the mouse hover events, and also the scroll down of the page, and also the cookies that you are having, or the get set cookies, and the API actions that you are doing, and all those actions that you are doing, rather than the events that I mentioned earlier, will all comes to this particular event. So it's a common events call action. So you can edit those action accordingly to your purposes. Okay, then next one will be the validations. So we have a couple of validations, like inbuilt validation, where they have the code and all those stuff itself, and you just wanted to use it like drag and drop, and you can use those as well. But if you want to go for a customized validation, yes, you can go with that as well. And if you want to combine a predefined one with the customized, that will also be possible with this Testim.io validation event. So for those, we have the element validation, the visibility of element validation, the CSS property, HTML property validations, and the simply everything that like we can match the API request with the UI element as well during this validation. And also we can validate the database requests, like for MongoDB and SQL, they have the facility. And also we can have the page accessibility validation as well for a project, if you are using the accessibility testing. So this is one of the best tools, like a thing that you can do. And then we have the wait for. So wait for is, suppose if you want to hold your test step until something completed, then you can do this, like then you can add this wait for event. So it's basically like you've been keep pausing until something happens. And you can do this for your particular, like within your test case, and also within your test suite as well. Like uh, if you want to if you want to complete one test case, and then you have to wait for a couple of minutes and then go for another test case, yes, then that will also be possible in here. So it's the event basically. And then the data driven testing. So here data driven is, as I mentioned, we have a couple of data driven options. Either you can use the visual editor and get the data from there. So like as I did before, when recording, you can take that also. If you want to go for a configuration file, you can create a JSON config file, and then you can upload that file into your test and then run. If not, if you want to have some external file like CSV or something, and then that is also possible. If not, if you want to customize, you can add those data to your configuration step as a function, like under a function or a method. Then you can call that function in the relevant step as well. So those will be the data driven functionalities or the types. So we'll continue the demo. So as I mentioned, if you want to have the data driven part in your test, what you have to do is you have to go for this configuration event, and then here we have the test data. So click this test data, and here you can add like if you want to test for a like if you want to like like earlier scenario, mm, in this one what I did was yeah, in previous one what I did was I added the username and password manually, but without doing that you can add those username and password here, and then run your test as well. So yes, so I'll be adding the function like we have to return the username as John Doe and the password as test. This is not a password, so this will be taken here in this event. In the set username, it's a text event. So if you want to view this, you can go for the settings and view. So here, when we are yeah, yeah, this is the text that has been assigned to this. When I record, this will be as automatically assigned here. If you want to go with data driven, what you have to do is you have to use this username variable in text to assign. So this variable, the relevant value for this variable will automatically be assigned when the test is running. So for that, we'll show you from my test suite. I'll be show you. Yeah, we have a couple of passing events and the one failing event. So I'll be demo complete. I'll be showing those, and then how does it run, and then I'll hand over to Dulan. So yeah. Okay, then what I have to do is okay, these are the recorded step that I did. So what I have to do is I have to go to this relevant. Yeah, so I just want to play the recorded session. So this will automatically trigger each and every step that I followed. Okay, then that test completed. And for the negative scenario, we can go with this. This is the same scenario, but what I have done there is in this. Yeah, I have filled the application with relevant data, and yeah, now yeah, so I have make an appointment. So there what I have done is like when validating the data that I have entered during validation, I have changed this no to yes. Like I have changed the option or the text that appear here. So which means that particular test will fail while the test is running. So that yeah, this will be the invalid or the failing test step, because the expected value should be no, I purposely have given this as no, so this will be the negative test scenario. Here we have no, but we are validating it for a yes text. So you can see this, we have a pending session here. So just try to get the maximum possible locators, smart locators, just to test this is executing successfully or not. it fails, so it's gives you a message, and then the relevant test is failed because it has the expected outcome is yes, but the actual one is no. So you can see the error by clicking into this, and we have this kind of screens, like comparison of screens as well. So yeah, this is the basic of this how to record and go with the events and all. So if you want to add a validation in between this step, what you can do is you can click the button set that appear in between each event, and then click this M, and you have the validation, the predefined one. Or if you want to have the customized validation, you can add custom validation, and then set a name and create that step, and then you can have your function under this section. So yes, how it goes, and I'll be handing over the presentation to Dulan. So Dulan, it's over to you.
Thank you, Dulari. So let me share my screen again. So guys, what I will be doing here is, let me know when you guys can see my screen first.
We can see the screen.
Okay, cool. So as Dolari demoed, we can uh, like record our tests, and then we could do some validations on it. So one thing that I mentioned in my earlier slides is that Teststemio has dynamic locators for each and every element that we captures. So what I will show you guys here is that in this particular page, so when it comes to a typical automation, if we change the name of this particular link, so usually our test script gonna fail. So what I have done here is I have recorded the script. So what I will be doing here is just logging in, clicking this link, and I'm gonna select this, and I will be going to this shopping cart view. So that's what I have done here in this particular recorded script. So let me run it for you and show you how it goes. So in first place. Okay, so my test is completed successfully. I will be going back to the editor. So I told you that testim.io gets dynamic locators. So if you could see this element, so this is the element that I'm talking about, this particular element. So it has get this element from 14 different uh, elements or locators. So if you monitor closely, it says 100% for the for this particular element, for this particular locator. So what I'll do is I will just change the name of this particular element. Oh, sorry. Okay. So what I'll do is I will just okay. We'll change the test. X, okay, S99X, and I will just save it. Okay, so when I go here, it shows as test99X. So what I will be doing is I will not do anything. I don't even touch my script. So it still says click this previous link that we were using. So what I'll do is I will just run the same test. It clicks the same element and goes without any issue. So it completely it get passed successfully. And if you go into this particular locator again, you sorry, you'll see that yeah. Okay, changed. Net. So if you can remember earlier, this target element was 100%. So but right now it has reduced its accuracy to 48% since we changed the name to test 99x, but it clicks the same element because it's not, it doesn't identify the element from a single locator. It identified that particular element from 14 different element locators here. So changing one element would not be affecting to the execution flow with the help of dynamic locators. So this is one cool feature that we have identified in Teststemio.io, and it's really helpful. I know, like when it comes to uh, automating a highly volatile application. So as we all know that when we are in middle of releases, there are changes to certain existing pages are there. So we can avoid certain the script errors by using this. So it's a very helpful when it comes to maintaining the automation scripts, I would say. Yeah. So those are the main areas that we want to discuss with you today. So with that, we we have come to the end of our session. So yeah, we covered everything. So let's take a look at the questions that we got uh, so far right now. Uh, okay. Right. So we have got one question from the audience is that what sort of open source tools can we use for test authoring with Jira and visual testing? So Apply tools can be integrated with Jira, but I'm afraid it's not an open source tool, so it's a commercial tool. So and yeah. And yes, most of these, and there's another question. Are all these frameworks tools are commercial ones. And well, apparently many of these are commercial tools, and they offer you some free capabilities, such as in Testim.io also they provide you with certain free features, but when you are using it for the longer period, and it you have to get some plans with them. So yeah. And another one is, in which type of scenarios do you guys use this tool? So in our case, we are using this tool is to automate some end-to-end scenarios. Since, as I told you earlier, we have some development going on using the same, which touches the same pages in the application. So there's a tendency to elements get changed. So doing end-to-end scenarios with Selenium, it takes time. And with the Testing.io tool, we can simply record the scripts and run it easily and run fastly. So yeah, Tulari, anything? Tulari, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Dilan. So here we have a question. It's like this. In a typical automated test, we have set up, test, and tear down. So the preconditions. So how to handle those kind of scenarios with this testing.io. So the scenario that he has given is in appointment. Uh, the scenario. So if we use the same date, the test can fail because the date will expire. So with the time. So for such scenarios, what you can do is we have the event called action. So we can have this action events in between those unstable events. So there you can generate like if it's a date, you can get auto generated date, like generate date automatically according to the current date, and then you can go with the test. And also you can add the preconditions and the tear down to the configuration event as well. So you can, what you have to do is you can go to the edit section of configuration event, and then you can add those as well. Yeah, we have two possibilities. And also one we had, yeah, can the tool be configured, or a function can be written to select different size color if the given size or color is not available? So I think Dulan, you can explain this better with the smart locators.
Okay. Can the tool be configured or functioned? Function can be written to select different size color if the given size color is not available. Uh, Actually, we haven't had this uh, scenario particular to say, but uh, so it's some area that I think we also need to check a little bit. So uh, we will have to take a look on that, Larry. So we haven't encountered that for the moment. Yeah,
Yeah, with the function we don't, but with recording we can use the
we
smart
can. Yeah.
locators. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's all we had uh, for you guys today. So if you have any other questions, please do send us an email for the CQC email. We will reply to you with our answers. And yeah, we hope that you got some awareness of what sort of tools are available in the market for the AI automation, and uh, what are their capabilities. and whatnot. So yeah, thank you very much for your time, and please be in touch with us, and please join more CQC sessions that we do in future. So thanks a lot.